Welcome to Who Knew. We are fans of the current series of Doctor Who, and here we discuss our likes, dislikes, and insights into the modern regeneration of the show. Subscribe, review, and listen to us on iTunes and Stitcher, or our YouTube channel, youtube.com/WhoKnewPodcast. All our episodes are on whoknewpodcast.com. You can leave comments there, or email us at whoknewpodcast@gmail.com. We also have an Instagram and Twitter account. Tweet at us at whoknewpodcast, and find us on Facebook. Today's episode is The Stolen Earth, episode 12 of season 4. The Doctor and Donna must solve the mystery of the missing planets and why the bees are disappearing. This episode is written by Russell T. Davis, directed by Graham Harper. It originally aired on the 28th of June 2008 and was watched by 7.4 million viewers. Hi, this is Eugene. Let's introduce ourselves.
Hi, this is Brian.
Hi, this is Josh.
This is Auburn.
I'm here too. It's Kelsey.
Hi, this is Frank.
Hey, it's Heather.
The TARDIS arrives back on modern-day Earth after Rose Tyler warned them that the stars are going out. The Doctor and Donna rush out to see that all is normal. They return to the TARDIS when a huge jolt hits them. They open the doors to see nothing. The Earth has disappeared. Far across the universe, Martha Jones and Unit New York, Captain Jack and his Torchwood team, and Sarah Jane and her son Luke all get up from being knocked to the ground and discover that the Earth has moved to a different area of space. Donna's family also sees the sky has changed and they are now surrounded by a number of planets. Unarmed Rose Tyler transmats to where the TARDIS was moments ago, ready for battle.
So, boring opening. Nothing much happens.
Speaking of the opening, how many names did we get on that opening sequence?
I know.
Oh, yeah.
It is the quickest opening crawl in history of Doctor Who.
So awesome.
It's just, who was that? I couldn't read it. Fly by. I love how there's a milkman. It's like, did the TARDIS land in the 1950s?
Yeah, that took me out of the scene a little bit because then I started thinking, in England, do they really still get their milk
Some
from
people
a
do.
milkman?
If you're in like a small village, maybe.
My uncle did in Dublin in the 90s, and it was really like, you're kidding me. But it was the best milk ever.
I like the flashback that we have with Martha. She gets up, someone goes to the window. Martha, come look out the window. That was her first episode back, Smith and Jones.
I still wanted her to go, what, are we on the moon?
This episode is for the fans. Enjoy this episode full of flat callbacks
Right.
and
But well done. Not just fanboy
Well, yeah, they didn't
stuff.
just slapdash it together. You could tell that they really put a lot of thought into this from day one, that it was going to culminate to this point.
You could tell that there was a lot of setup in here. A lot of things got paid off. A lot of small things. I always wonder how much gets backwritten, like when they have such a big specific ending and it's sprinkled throughout the season.
I will tell you about that at the end.
All right then.
But there's one thing that's nice about Doctor Who is that all the episodes are already shot before aired. So they do have that whole
Right.
story arc. And they can work and put those things
Yeah.
in if needed.
I forgot exactly what was in the sky, but I did remember that the stars were disappearing. So I was like, are they just gonna look out and there's not the sky's gonna be all black? Are there not gonna be stars? And I thought, no, they're reacting too big for just that. And then when it paid off, but I thought it looked great.
oh yeah, I did too. It was a cool.
I thought it looked like something that was crazy enough for everyone to look up in the sky and be nuts about.
And everyone in the United Kingdom, they did say it was in the morning. Sarah Jane
Right,
says it's
right.
8 o'clock. And the clock in Torchwood shows it was 2 minutes after 8. So they had all that set up, which is really nice. So also going from sunlight to the darkness, in that area really freaked them out.
Although 8 o'clock in the morning is a bit late for your milkman.
Maybe he got delayed at Mrs. So-and-so's house.
Well, he really wasn't moving quickly. He was like, this is my job. I'm the only milkman left.
Yeah, he's like, I gotta deliver all the milk in this stinking town.
Who keeps bringing milk to our door? We get it from the grocery store.
Back to that shot of them looking outside of the TARDIS, I think you mentioned, with Donna and the Doctor. That echoes Donna's first appearance in The Runaway Bride, where she opens the TARDIS doors and they're looking at proper space as opposed to other
Right.
space.
Oh yeah, that's
Right.
true too, yeah.
Is that like proper
So more echoing like what you were mentioning.
I wish Arlene were with us today. We
No,
miss
she's
you.
still here. It's just not present.
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
I want to talk to her about Rose's jacket because she's wearing the same outfit she has every time she time travels. Since we've seen Rose, she still has that same blue denim
Right.
or blue
Purple.
Kind of like
It's
purple
kind of
leather.
Purpley.
Yeah, but I see more the blue.
No, you needed to.
Indigo. But it's a leather jacket that kind of replaced her old denim, and I want to know, she always had the fashion sense. And going, is it because now she's a tougher, Rose, so she has a leather jacket rather than the denim?
I think pleather's just in now.
But I definitely think that
Jean
I think
jackets
you're,
were more the style, and now.
No, I think it's the leather to make her tougher.
I do think they kept her same color scheme though, in keeping it blue. I don't think that was just arbitrary.
Torchwood, Unit, and Sarah Jane each independently discover there is a mothership among the other 26 planets, which launches 200 smaller ships towards Earth. Martha cannot reach the Doctor on her phone and calls Jack to see if he has heard anything. A terrifying voice is heard over all Earth communications.
Exterminate! Exterminate!
The Daleks are invading Earth.
I really like how when they all got on the phone with each other. I guess they didn't all get on yet, but when Jack and Martha started talking, it was like a quick, hello and familiarity.
Yeah, because she was on Torchwood.
Oh, was she?
Yeah, so she was so she was, she and Jack were at the end of season 3 of Doctor Who. Then she showed up on Torchwood for a couple episodes. So he's really familiar with Martha. I love how the writing tells one story from 3, sometimes 4 if you count Donna's family. They're all like discovering the same thing at the same time, but it really flows and it really works, and it's really it's getting the exposition out of the way quickly in a really interesting way. I like it a lot.
I'd have to watch it again to be sure, but I bet you each scene gives us a little piece of information, so none of it seems repetitive.
Yeah, because with 3 separate points of view, you could see that becoming very repetitive, and yet it never does. I mean, literally, I think there's one point where Jack states a question and Sarah Jane answers it, but I mean, she's not answering Jack.
Right.
It's just the situation is happening now. This is what I'm saying, and it just matches up with what's being said in the Torchwood Hub.
And the writing and editing makes it all one scene.
And I think it's the transmission. I think in Torchwood, Yanto says, "Oh, there's an incoming transmission," and Sarah Jane says, "Well, Mr. Smith, what does it say?" Or something along that line, because Mr. Smith had just said,
Right.
"I've got a transmission coming in."
Right, brilliant.
I got a kick out of how Sarah Jane told Mr. Smith to hurry up with the fanfare.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's confirmed that, yes, we can hear that, and they can hear it as well.
I wish you'd stop doing that.
I did like how they also brought in some of the other people.
Yes.
Gwen calling Reese.
Yeah.
So that was nice that even if he's not directly involved, the character is, mentioned.
They're not dead yet in Torchwood? Is Reese on Torchwood?
The boyfriend.
Reese doesn't die.
The boyfriend.
Reese is Gwen's boyfriend.
Oh, Reese is
Oh, I
Gwen's
thought-
boyfriend.
that's
Sorry,
right.
I
Yeah.
was thinking of the Doctor.
But yeah, so it places it in the world. It places it opens it up more.
Did we get Trinity Wells back? Does
Yes.
that happen? So yeah, we get Trinity Wells, Lachelle Carl back, and I like how she says the UN has mandated a message to the world, don't panic, and it reminds me of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, where I think the opening cover is "Don't panic."
Oh, is it the news reporter?
Well, she also says they've issued an edict. It's like, no, she's an American. They've issued an edict.
I caught
all-
that too.
And the people being interviewed on TV are real people. So there's Richard Dawkins, who is the scientist who,
Oh, they're themselves?
Yeah, and it's very controversial because he's a very hard, fast atheist. But you could totally see him being like, no, we've just moved in space. Yes, it's a big deal, but that's what happened. We've moved.
And that,
So the other guy is Paul O'Grady, and he's an English comedian, TV producer, and actor that joins in Richard Dawkins when they're flipping channels.
And it is kind of funny because they're like, and that's not the proper day of the week for his show, so he wouldn't be on TV.
So I have a nitpick about the scene when it's revealed that it's the Daleks. Everybody's reaction, I think, is over heightened, and I think I laugh when Jack hugs and kisses the foreheads, because at that point everyone's reaction has. And
They're already dead.
Well, they're all acting like, oh, we're all gonna die. And the reason why that's over heightened to me is because every time I've seen the Daleks, they've been defeated.
This isn't Game of Thrones. Okay? Probably what they were doing though is exactly what you were saying. Like as you said, it didn't work. But they were probably trying to reestablish fear in the viewers, since they have already seen the Daleks defeated 2 or 3 times. Maybe they were trying to be like, but they're still the worst ever. Remember that, kids.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe that's what they were going for, and it just didn't land.
Oh yeah, totally. I think I agree. It just for me, it just like I was like,
But the one that I do like is Sarah Jane's reaction, because she sells it to me.
where she hugs her son. She's like, he's
Yeah.
so young. Yeah.
Yeah,
That
because
was
of watching.
Even before that, her eyes and how she's like terrified, going, "These are supposed to be dead."
Yeah.
and she's dealt with them
Because of
she
Classic Who.
Also,
For her,
she dealt
she
with it
hasn't
in a
seen them.
classic.
No, she's dealt
episodes.
with them in classic, where
Right,
they're
but
more
she
deadlier.
hasn't seen them in Sarah Jane
Yeah,
Adventures.
and so that's why that's the one that carries the most weight to me, because I really feel her acting in that moment.
Also think writing wise they have to keep that up so they seem like as big of a threat that they do.
Yeah, they needed to bring them to a very low point very quickly so that they could then be rallied
Yeah.
and not by the Doctor.
Yeah.
So there is a plot reason for it. However, I do kind of agree it doesn't ring true to me either.
Yeah.
But
And
it
later,
seems over the top to me as well, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I don't want it to.
No, and that's why I'm saying. I'm like, I feel bad that I laughed, but I laughed. Like, sorry, but there is a scene coming up where the writers and the show gets me back.
Well, I loved the reactions. To me, they're not expecting this. They don't know what's going on, and that's one of the furthest thing I think from their mind, and they are not with the Doctor. They have tried to reach the Doctor and no one can find the Doctor, and now 200 ships full of Daleks are coming to Earth.
Right.
And you don't have anything, and it is overdone, but I loved it and I bought right into it.
That's a good point, that whenever they have been defeated, whenever they've come up against the Daleks, the Doctor's always around. No one can get in touch with the Doctor, so they are all alone.
You know, the one that doesn't bother me is Martha, because Martha isn't saying... Sarah Jane and Torchwood have... They're hopeless. They've already given up hope. I wouldn't mind them being petrified. I wouldn't mind them, being, we need to think of something to do right now. I don't like how it's instantaneously, well, here come the Daleks. We're dead. We can't even fight back. It's like, at least for Torchwood, go out fighting.
See, at this point, I give them that. I give them the tidal wave that is coming at them from space, where it's like, we don't have proper way to fight this. They know what the Daleks are capable of doing, and they I think will rally later on and go, but this is their initial reaction of, we're really messed up.
I think right after we get the reactions of the Daleks, there's a shot of a Dalek ship blowing up a bunch of buildings, and it was right about the time that I was like, man, these reactions are way overdone. And then they showed like stuff getting destroyed. I think if they maybe had like an Independence Day moment where like Big Ben, or something that wasn't one of our main characters but something recognizable was destroyed right off the bat, it would have made the stakes
Yeah, they
of
didn't
their
even do anything
reactions
yet.
higher. Right. They're just coming and we're already done. So I think that would have helped give the Daleks a little more like weight
Yes.
for the audience, because I
little more
understand
earning
that.
it.
Yeah. And the acting was so good. It's too bad that it elicited the reaction
Right.
of a laugh, because they were really pouring themselves into those moments, and for the audience to have it not hit that hard, it's a shame, because it was really good acting by everybody.
This is probably one of the last times that I remember not rolling my eyes when the Daleks came back. Like, it seemed I was okay with them the first, second, third, however many times, and then this was probably the last. After this, I was like, okay. So at least we still had. Well, for me, at least they were still a acceptable enemy for now.
One thing that was just needed to get out, the exposition, that I thought was kind of forced, was Martha talking to Jack about, yes, I got put on the Indigo project.
Oh, yeah. I got a promotion.
And then Jack saying, you got on the Indigo, you guys don't know how to use that. And she's like, well, it's top secret. How do you know about it? You just mentioned it.
Did she know?
like-
I thought
She
said,
mentioned
"I
it, but
got
he knows what it is,
promoted."
though.
No, she just mentioned Project Indigo, but she doesn't.
But the whole
he knows
thing
what it is.
it's top secret. Why are you mentioning Project Indigo, this top secret thing, to somebody who's supposed to not know about it?
There's 26 planets in the sky.
Yeah.
No, but that's it. Though. It's just to get that information out of what
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
And
It's
like that
kinda
one
funny.
always like
Because
blab
it
it
leads
to
to
somebody.
it leads to a really quick but very well done beat of Jack's character.
Yes, the
Because
first
then, you know,
rule-
where it's just going to, a guy in a bar and Yonto going,
Right.
who? And then, oh, no, it's just professional.
It was
packs
done
a lot
well,
of
but it was
character
done
punch there.
obvious to me.
Yeah, I mean, I see your point,
Right.
but it's like,
I
no,
just thought it was
Martha
more
would say
funny
that to
of
Jack.
something going, wait a minute, Martha, you wouldn't do
Maybe the
that.
first rule of Project Indigo is don't talk about that.
Well, and they're very open about talking about the names of all the secret projects. Like, not what they do, but yeah, everything has a name and everyone knows the name, like, throughout the series of all the secret projects.
The Daleks place a force field around Earth to contain the air and heat so they can harvest human beings. They begin by attacking military bases, so Jack tells Martha to get out of unit. She uses Project Indigo, an untested Sontaran transmet device that Jack warns her is unsafe. She disappears just as Unit New York is destroyed. Above Earth, the Supreme Dalek prepares the crucible for the humans as a voice asks if there is any sign of the Doctor. It is Davros, the creator of the Daleks. The Supreme Dalek says the Doctor cannot find them, but Dalek Khan, who has gone insane from his last temporal emergency jump, keeps repeating that the Doctor is coming.
I always find it funny when they depict American governmental location. It never looks like anything in the States at all.
I love the little American flags sticking out
were they? I
everywhere.
didn't notice
Teeny
that.
tiny little American flags everywhere because that's what we do.
We are a very proud people.
Yes, exactly. And that's just where we see Ultimate Code Red on the wall.
With the first scene with the general, the unit general. By the way, I also like the fact that this is unit in America.
Yeah, I got a kick out of that.
I think this is the first time we've ever seen unit outside of Britain.
Yeah.
So, and it makes sense
I
because
was
they are
wondering where
united.
Dennis Haysbert was. It was a Dennis Haysbert show. He was in a show
President.
called The Unit.
Oh, okay.
He was the president in 24.
Okay.
So General Sanchez.
Yeah, so we have the general, and it was funny in his first scene. There was one word that he said. I think it was the word war, and it was like his R's were really weird. So I'm like, and I remember,
yeah.
I mean, his accent's pretty good, but I wonder if he is British. And then when we see him the second time, you know, when he's telling Martha, you got to go for the sake of the human race, and it's not human, it's human. It's like, oh no, he's from New York. That's why he said war. And so we looked him up, and he's from New York.
Oh, he is from New York. My dad says human and gas
For what?
for the car. I have to stop off and get gas before we get on the highway.
Oh, that's
Gas.
funny.
That sounds like gangster, like 1920s.
Yeah, see?
Gotta get some gas.
I wish the code red was code mauve.
Yeah.
It's like they should have switched that over.
Yeah, the ultimate code red. Boy, that's a lot of farce. Code red means farce.
Oh.
Yeah.
Did not
You
know.
should have seen the misunderstandings. Remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah. See, Eugene knows.
But back to the Americanness of Unit. We've seen Unit in the UK or London or whatever, and the Brigadier is wearing a military uniform, but everybody around him is sort of like Black Ops dressed. I like that General Sanchez is wearing an American Army uniform, and everybody else around him is like Black Ops dressed. So I thought that it was very consistent that each unit
Of unit.
in the country they're in has like the head guy in the dress Class A uniform, where everybody around the grunts are going to be normal as we associate with unit.
I liked seeing, too, that Martha is still doing stuff. She's still involved. Just because she's not a companion doesn't mean she's not involved anymore.
Yeah.
She's still engaged to
I don't.
I mean, we assume so. There's no
You
mention.
You know, and I
didn't
thought
see a
about it.
ring.
Well, I thought about it afterwards to look for the ring, and I just didn't.
You can't be doing all that. Why you gotta...
Well, she moved to New York. I don't
What
think
is she
he would
gonna
have
do?
moved.
Like, date a teacher and try to become a teacher while she's still involved with all these other things?
You're just talking crazy.
Was it Sarah Jane who was having the conversation with Davos about moving the Earth before, or that he had tried? Is that
not
still
yet,
coming?
right? It's coming up.
Well, the Doctor, when they open up the doors of the TARDIS, the Doctor says, you know, he comes to the conclusion somebody moved the Earth. He, at that point, says just very briefly, somebody tried to move the Earth before, but there's no way.
Okay.
And so that is mentioned, and we were kind of looking it up. There's like several different
There's at
references.
least 3 different answers.
Yeah.
Tell yours.
Well, mine comes from the 6th Doctor, and he had a season-long arc called The Trial of a Time Lord, and the Gallifreyans put him on trial, and the first thing they were putting him on trial for was that the Earth had been moved in the far future, and was like this completely, it was like, oh, this is like Earth's duplicate, and then I believe at the end they find out it's not Earth's duplicate, it's really Earth, so they stick Earth back where it belongs. I kind of like that just because of, and this is kind of breaking the timeline a little bit, but that it's putting in David Tennant's Doctor's head. The Time Lords were doing things that the Time Lords shouldn't have been doing, foreshadowing a little something that's going to be popping up in the very near future for him. In my own mind, I don't know if this is what they were doing, but I like the fact that for me, it's a little bit of a foreshadowing of what's to come.
And Frank, you have the other one?
Yes, it's the first Doctor, William Hartnell, and it's Daleks' invasion of Earth. And the Daleks tried to move it at that point.
Okay.
So it was, Time Lords or Daleks. Both have attempted to move the Earth before.
And then the other one is also with the first Doctor, his last serial, The 10th Planet, with the first appearance of the Cybermen, where the Cybermen try to move and pilot Earth around, I guess, to the twin planet of Mondas. So there's 3 possible answers.
Did they try and move it? Or is it just...
I think they tried to put Mondas in the place of, because it's a different...
Well, I think they're going to...
Anyway, that's an answer. That's an
And
answer.
then, of course, there was when Carol King moved the Earth under our feet.
But we could feel that.
Right. Oh, that's right. We could feel that.
The sky was tumbling down.
It was.
Tumbling.
So that's a whole different
Oh,
situation.
wait. I have a question before we move on. Dalek Khan, can someone remind him? Have we seen him before? Is he new?
Yes, we have seen him in the finale of season 2, where Rose gets transported to the parallel Earth. He's one of the cult of Skaro, the 4 Daleks that are outside of, they can think and they can have imagination and creativity.
And they have their own
Did he
names.
look like that though?
Nope.
He looked like a
Okay.
regular
He was
Dalek.
just a Dalek
Did he have
in
a
a
color?
machine.
Wasn't he colored
Nope.
differently?
But they had the Genesis arc in Doomsday. So they had
They were the 4 Daleks opened up that arc and then allowed all the Daleks to come out. And then at the end of that episode, you see one of those 4 Daleks do an emergency temporal shift, and all 4 of them go to Manhattan.
In the Depression era.
And that's Martha's episode with Dalekanium.
Right.
Where they're building the Empire State Building so that they can use its energy. And the leader of the cult in that one was Dalek Sec. And Dalek Sec died because he became the
Hybrid.
human hybrid one. And
Squid face?
Dalek Khan
we put it that he assumed control.
Yeah.
And then he's the one that shifts
Didn't
out.
they refer to him as the hybrid in this episode?
Abomination.
the
Abomination.
Yeah. And so, he, at the end of the Manhattan episode, time shifted. The only survivor of the cult of Skaro is Dalek Khan. And at the end of that episode, he does a emergency temporal shift again. And here's where we find out where he wound up.
Okay. Yeah, that's why I asked, because
Right.
I also don't really bother to keep them.
Yeah.
Keep them.
That's what
straight.
podcasts are for.
Yes.
And up until this point, I haven't said Dalek Khan.
So at this point in our summary, do we find out why he's crazy at the moment? Did the
Not
temporal
yet.
shift?
Not yet.
Okay.
We will.
But it hasn't
I'm just-
happened in the episode yet. He's just very, very different. His casing has exploded.
Right.
He's exposed, and he's awfully giggly.
Side note to those, if you're following your notes and writing them as the episode goes along, it may be a little bit different than the synopsis we're reading, because it cuts so often to everything. You can't just go in
Yeah.
that order. So I was
Yeah.
trying to group some of the actual story together. So you're thinking, this happened. It may have happened while you're watching the show, but not in the synopsis yet.
I want to go back briefly about General Sanchez again. I was in ROTC, so that's how I knew that was an army uniform with and I had a red cord too, like he has a red cord. So I thought that was cool.
What's the red cord for?
It stands for different things in different units.
Really?
Yeah, for mine, because I was on the fancy drill team, so that's what that meant. But for
Fancy
his,
drill team.
we spun around rifles and.
You
stuff.
can do that?
Not anymore, but I
Isn't-
could.
Didn't you just say a red cord's a farce?
What?
No,
Red
that's
code.
the
Oh, it's a code red.
Code red. The rest of the galaxy looks at code red to mean
Gotcha.
farce. Oh, the misunderstandings.
Yes.
Christopher Eccleston, look it up.
Empty child. And then he pulls out a revolver, where normally it would be like a 45 caliber.
I thought it was Jack's gun because it's always Jack's gun.
No, but this is different. It is different. And I took that as just as me putting on like a character thing. Like he doesn't trust automatic weapons. This one won't jam because it's a revolver. He can shoot them independently as opposed to jamming in the chamber.
What do you think of the way that he pulled out the revolver?
That was weird.
Yes, that made me think he was British, but you're telling me he's from
He's
New
not
York.
an army man. He's an
Okay.
actor.
Just just by you saying that is another kind of flashback because they did stop the guns from shooting when the Centaurans with
Centaur.
Martha, and they made the Martha clone.
It was a quarter lane signal.
There you go. So that's where I think they're coming from, and that's kind of a little flashback. So that's why the revolver and yeah.
Good work, writers.
The Doctor and Donna can't locate any trace of Earth, so they travel to the Shadow Proclamation for help. There, they discover 23 other planets are missing, and with Donna's help, they remember the other missing planets that were mentioned in their recent travels, bringing the total up to 27. The Doctor projects a 3D image of the planets, including Earth, which rearrange themselves into some kind of engine or power source. The Doctor asks Donna if anything weird has been happening on Earth. She absentmindedly mentions the bees have been disappearing, and the Doctor says that some of Earth's bees are aliens who use a certain wavelength to migrate from their home planet to Earth. Something must have spooked them. The Doctor works to locate the wavelength. Whomever it was used that wavelength to move the Earth, leaving a path of breadcrumbs. They follow the wavelength path to the Medusa Cascade. When they arrive, there is no sign of the missing planets, and the Doctor is at a loss as to what to do next.
I love seeing the Doctor figure stuff out. Like when he's manic and just thinking he's repeating himself and he's saying the thing that is actually the thing, but he didn't think that the thing was the actual thing yet, and then he realizes it.
Nice example there.
Yes.
I remember watching it for the first time and just being like completely blown away that these little drops they'd been giving us all season with the planets came together. And I was just like, mind blown. And I was so excited. I still remember that for some reason. It stuck with me.
Well, it's cool because, it seemed like it was nothing when it was happening. He was treating it like nothing, and Donna was treating it like nothing, and then it's
We all came
great.
together. Like he loves it when a plan comes together.
And that's how Russell does these little foreshadowings really well. Because also remember, you had the planets disappearing. With the planets, certain people probably picked that up in the episode. Oh yeah, I remember all the planets being mentioned as missing. But I think the even better one is the bees. Because then you go back and you watch season 4, and they mention bees disappearing 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
All the way back to the first in Partners in Crime when she's like, Doctor, I was investigating everything trying to find you. Even when they said the bees were disappearing, I looked at them and was like, oh, how crazy silly is that? And the Doctor's like, the bees are disappearing. And then they keep going with their episode. It's so Russell Davis and so well done because it's just enough.
But also the wording that they used to describe it, because they never said the planet's missing. I don't think there's always, their breeding planet was lost.
Yeah.
And so you're thinking some kind of battle. They don't have ownership of it anymore. Not that it's actually disappeared.
Yeah.
So it's the way that they did it. They lost their home planet, so now they're trying to invade Earth, the Parvilia.
Yeah.
But you never think of
What happened to
that
their planet,
means. It's
yeah.
not it's missing, and they actually lost it. So
Right. Almost-
well written and not pointed out. So they did that, I thought, really well.
Yeah, almost as if the characters throughout the season who were giving us this information about the lost planet and or if they had said it differently, as in like one day we woke up and it was gone, maybe that would have sparked the Doctor to be like, wait, what? Yeah, the way that they were giving us this information didn't elicit a follow-up question.
Right.
It's great writing just to give us the information without showing us, hey, look at this.
I like that the bees are disappearing is another reference to Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, with the dolphins disappear when they just leave.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah, we're out of here.
Was it thanks for all the fish?
Yeah, so long and thanks for all the fish. Because they are the second most intelligent race on Earth, humans being third.
Mice?
Mice was the first, yeah.
All right.
I have to call out the naming of the Medusa Cascade. It sounds really cool. It's an Earth-bound story that has been put into outer space, being named by something other than Earth. Kind of like adipose once you actually know what it is. When we talked about that before. Of course you could say, well, maybe the Gorgon's Medusa was, from another planet and things like that. But
I think they are.
do they?
In this
According to Sarah
universe,
Jane, they are.
yes.
Oh, they do. Oh, okay.
During their time at the Shadow Proclamation, Donna starts to hear, I think, a single heartbeat, which is really cool. And then she has that interaction with another, I don't know what race they are, but
I just call them the albinos.
the red-eyed ladies.
Yeah.
Prejudice.
It's
That-
accurate.
That is more foreshadowing, and poor Donna, like, she just gets piled on in these next 2 episodes.
Yeah.
But yeah, that one was really scary. I mean, Catherine Tate plays it so well. All these ominous like portents coming at her, and you know,
There's something on your back.
yeah,
Yeah.
And
Sorry
then
for
there
your
was
loss.
something on your
that
back.
is
Yeah.
yet to come. Like
Yeah.
that's just
Sorry for your
oh.
loss. Yes, I lost my whole planet. No, not that.
Yeah. So that was just really great acting there by Catherine Tate, and not the main Shadow Proclamation lady, but
The
like
servant.
a servant. Yeah. It
That's
was
how
a really-
she's credited, as the albino
as-
servant.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
But yeah, it was a
alright.
very great job again with all the acting this episode, and Catherine Tate keeps bringing it.
Yeah, she's fantastic.
And they keep throwing in just great little character bits where it's, Doctor, we're declaring war, which means that we are confiscating your TARDIS. And he's just kind of like, oh, okay, yeah, all right, fine. And, you know, and she's like, come back. Where it's very much gives you what the Shadow Proclamation is, and
Yeah.
very much tells you what the Doctor is, where it's like, oh, yes, I'm just going to go get things ready. Let's get out of here.
What I liked about it was it basically gave you an example of why he's always calling back to the Shadow Proclamation.
Yes.
You know, they are an entity to be scared of.
Yeah.
And we didn't talk about it, but I got a real kick out of them going there and actually seeing it and seeing what it was.
And seeing the Jadoon again.
And seeing that you do it. Now, did they mention that they were from the Shadow, affiliated with the Shadow Proclamation?
they're for hire.
Oh, they're for hire.
The thing about the Shadow Proclamation is that it was originally planned to be very populated with lots of different aliens.
Like, let's say the cantina.
And it was supposed to be that, and somebody came along and went, yeah, that costs money. So they kind of got this very white, bland looking. I'm not the biggest fan of the location that the TARDIS materializes in, because to me it's almost like it looks like a public
bathroom?
yes, it looks like
Yeah.
a bathroom. It looks like there's like urinals behind it, and there should be like a public shower place. It's just like, ugh.
It's
I
a
mean, I
swimming
got
pool.
the idea that they were like breaking into the Shadow Proclamation.
It was the weakest shielded area.
It really does. It's just every time I see it, I'm like, look,
You know,
we're either shooting
we're
it
gonna
here,
put the money somewhere else in the story.
we're either shooting it here or in a quarry. It's your choice.
Right.
Yeah.
They could have really cheaped down, just made it a bunch of shadows, shadow puppets on the wall.
And they're just proclamating.
Yeah, just people. Yeah. I think what the original idea would have been really cool, because it would have felt like this huge presence. But giving it something so individually identifiable is always nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. When they arrive at the Shadow Proclamation, they step out of the TARDIS. Why didn't the TARDIS translate what the Jadoon were saying?
Maho.
Because
just-
it was cool to hear the Jadoonian language.
I think it would translate, but this is a formality.
Maybe, yeah.
And so it translated the formality.
Oh, that could be.
I just that moment there, I laughed out loud. I had to watch it again too when he says it really quick the second time, and then Donna gives him a look.
Oh, I missed the.
Yeah, she looks at him like, "What are you doing?"
Before we move on, if you don't mind, I want to go back to this scene at the Shadow Proclamation. Poor Donna. No one's listening to her yet again. And even when she's the one who brings the planets tally to 27, and then there's this whole thing of like, well, what else do you got for me? Oh, nothing. From the Doctor, and she's like, well, the bees, and then he's like, well, the bees. You know, it's just again.
but that
See,
goes,
no, I don't.
That goes in line with what's talked about at the end of the next episode, and what Donna thinks of herself. Why would anyone listen to you if you don't even believe in what you're saying?
I don't go as far as you. I just take it as the leader of this police force is an arrogant pain. And Donna stands up to her the way Donna does. And it's great and it's fantastic. And then Donna does the planet thing, and the doctor's line to her, is there anything? I don't see that as, come on, think. I think it's more of he's kind of hopeless, going like, let's talk this through. Is there anything, however insignificant, just is there anything you can think of? And it's not dumping on Donna. It's not really making Donna responsible. It's, well, because Donna was there on the Earth. You know, while you were there, was any little teeny tiny little thing, which I think the Doctor would do with anybody. It's not defeated because everybody's picking on me. It's just, I don't know. I don't have any of the answers. And then she just absentmindedly says the bees.
And the first woman that we see, the shadow architect, is snobby. And she's dismissing her as a human. Not
Yeah, I
caring.
don't mind that. It was the I felt like the doctor was dismissing her as well.
Right.
But Brian changed my mind.
But she dismisses her. And when she stands up for herself and says, I'm Donna Noble, a human being, they have a reaction shot from the architect, which is, to me, recognition.
Yeah.
She knows the name. I don't think either of
Knows the name Donna?
Donna
Donna
Noble.
Noble.
Oh.
I don't think either of the shadow people know what Donna did. They know Donna did something great. That's where she goes, I'm sorry for your loss. I'm sorry for what's coming. She may not even know what's really coming, so I'm not sure about that. But there's a reaction when her eyes like, this is Donna Noble. This is where we are. This is what's going to happen. It's happening now. But if you watch The Architect, she's not attacking Donna anymore. She's pulled back and going, okay, something is going on.
Yeah, and we've seen that before in previous episodes where
With
people
River Song
recognize,
and the Silence in the
River
Library.
Song. Okay.
Backing up to that thing that the Jadoon does, the formality speak. When Billy Piper was on set, Nick Briggs does the voice of the Jadoon captain, and he did that, and then Billy just turned around and went like, what is that? Because she wasn't there.
Yeah.
That was a Martha episode. So
Why was Rose on set for that part?
rehearsals.
Oh, okay.
Who knows?
Oh, I see.
Well, and that's where the bathroom was. So she had to
So
go.
just got out. The Daleks begin rounding up the humans and transporting them to the mothership. Wilf and Sylvia are captured by a Dalek, but Wilf uses a paint gun to blind it. As it burns off the paint, Rose appears from behind and blasts it dead. She goes with Donna's family to try and locate the Doctor. At their home, a transmission comes through their computer. At the same time, the transmission reaches out to the other past companions. The source of the transmission is Harriet Jones, former Prime Minister.
Yes, we know who you are.
She connects Jack, Sarah Jane, and Martha, who teleported to her mom's house, through the sentient sub-wave network developed by the Mr. Copper Foundation. She knew one day the Doctor would not be there when the Earth needed him, and thought that together they may come up with a plan. Rose and the Nobles can hear and see them, but cannot communicate. Do we remember Mr. Copper?
No.
Voyage of the Damned? He was the old man that was the
Oh,
tour guide.
And
do you mean
and he
I'm
ended up
rich?
Being rich. He won the lottery or something. Right?
Yeah.
We had the credit card with the millions of dollars
right,
on the
right,
credit
right,
card.
right,
He's, I'm rich.
It's
I'm
a-
rich. You mean I can be rich?
right. I'm a filthy miser.
Yeah.
And so that's where this money went to. So I think that was not so bad.
It's one of those things where it's like,
Yeah.
if you knew nothing about Doctor Who, you're like, why did they just say that?
Or you'd be like, okay, that's a thing. But then if you're a avid viewer, you're going to be like, oh, they just rewarded me for watching the beginning of that season.
I know this Harriet Jones gag is old, but I love it every time.
Yeah.
No matter, even when the Daleks do it later.
Oh, speaking of Harriet Jones and like the prime minister things that she was doing, we forgot to mention like the Valiant was destroyed. Like
that's
that was
right.
that was
Oh,
a
yeah.
threat that showed that the Daleks were a threat in the beginning.
That's right. The Valiant's down.
That was so sad.
Yeah.
What's the Valiant now?
The Flying Fortress.
It's
Oh,
from
okay.
the Centauran episodes. It was the
Right.
one in the air.
Okay.
I like that Wilf was trying to defend, and he was using his brain.
I
But-
thought it would work.
Yeah.
Wasn't it the actor?
Bernard Cribbins' idea.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, because he appeared in one of the 2 movies,
With Peter Cushing.
Oh.
and his thing even back then was like, why doesn't somebody just shoot him in the eye? You know?
And then he told that to Russell, I think around the time of Voyage of the Damned. And then when he came back for the table read of this, he was like, you know that idea I talked to you about? He's like, yeah, I put it in. He's like, what? You put it in? So he's like, I finally get to shoot a Dalek.
Oh, that's cool.
I love it when everybody gets together, and it's one of those things where it's like, it's finally, the characters are all meeting up. This is great. I mean, you know, it's the joy you get when Game of Thrones finally got together and characters started to meet.
Poor Rose.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We're talking about this now.
I was here first, but that's so Rose.
I thought it was a brilliant way to reunite them and her, but not. It was a great twist.
Yes.
Like, 'cause we got to, finally, and then, but it wasn't so dismissive where she felt really left out, because he was saying everyone but Rose, so we got to see that he did care, and she wasn't. It wasn't like a Three's Company misunderstanding.
Right.
No, it's because webcams are naughty.
It was, it was Sylvia's fault.
She wouldn't let me get it. She says they're naughty. That's the funniest bit in the whole show.
It's also combining the universe too, because they're all meeting each other, and Jack says to Sarah Jane, whom he's never met, nice work with the Slovene. So it's like, yeah, I watch what you're doing, and she says, well, I've been staying out of your way because you have too many guns. And it's a great in-universe way of doing it, but it's also a bit meta, where it's like the viewers, it's like, my show is a kids show. We don't have guns. Your show is very adult and has lots of guns.
Also, too, this is a very mature Rose who's handling all these emotional situations. Even later when they end up getting together, like, she's not some little 19-year-old schoolgirl anymore. She's addressing the situation at hand.
Yeah, I kind of don't agree.
No, I'm with Josh on this, because I do think when she's saying that, yes, you're not me. I've been trying to get to you, and I'm doing all this stuff. And what she did with saving Donna and the whole turn left, it's like, I'm still not there. I got it. What am I doing? How can I get there?
It's great writing in this episode because everything that's actually happening has a subtextual meaning. So we're sort of Rose watching these other people have this conversation. So she's our ears, but at the same time, she's having an emotional reaction to just listening. So it's not just that. So that has something. And then Harriet Jones is trying to bring the doctor back, who basically caused her to be denounced. She's going to sacrifice her life. So everything that is happening in this conversation is a piece of exposition, but then it has one or two other elements attached to it. And like you were even saying, no, you use too many guns. You were good with the Slovene,
right?
And it's very, very layered. I think it's great.
I had no idea Harriet Jones was going to be in the episode.
I think it's a testament to the actress as well.
And yeah, but then all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, it's Harriet Jones. And it was so exciting to see her because it was an organic thing. It wasn't forced. Okay, Harriet Jones is monitoring all this going, yeah, look, I said the doctor wasn't going to be here and he's not. So
It validates her.
it validates, yeah,
I just think from the very first time we met her, and then she shot down
Sycorax.
the Sycorax. Yeah, she's been saying that. So this definitely is. Well, it's a victory for her, but in the saddest way. It's one of those situations where you want to be wrong.
Right.
Oh yeah,
correct.
she's not happy.
No,
She's not happy to prove the doctor wrong, and she's not against the doctor. But she's a politician who was pragmatic. She knew this was going to happen. Bad things happen to this planet, and there are times when you are not around.
When she did shoot down the Sycorax, it hurt the viewer because we liked her and we were confused. We didn't know what to think. Like, are we supposed to hate her now? I don't understand. I'm emotionally confused. And then this just kind of helps the viewer understand, like, okay, she was maybe not right to shoot down the Sycorax, but she's had her mind in the right place all along. Maybe someone else should have thought of that too. And the doctor maybe he should have thought of that? I don't know. The doctor kind of wants to be a one-man show, but it wouldn't hurt to put, like, safeguards, in case something should happen to him, considering he's constantly about to die.
Good point.
Then we'd have no story.
But bringing back Harriet Jones is one of the things that they bring back, to remember all the different episodes. That, the Valiant, the Slovene, when they're talking about that. There's a scene where they're gathering people up on the street, which reminded me of Martha's year. So they're gathering and all the humans up.
That was the last of the Time Lords?
Yeah, one of those.
Yeah, when her, in this universe, fiance gets killed.
Right, Tom jumps in front to save her, and then she gets up to where the Master on the Valiant. But also the Medusa's Cascade are going back to Fires of Pompeii.
Yeah.
Where Evelina was saying that, his name was burning in the Cascade of Medusa, showing that. And then there's also the Lucius, who says, Donna has something on her back, so he had that. But he also saying that she is returning. And that we had mentioned in that episode saying, we'll tell you what else it could be, and that's Rose. Rose is back. So just some great things that they put in this. And I did like that, at the beginning of this, Donna says, Rose is coming back. That's got a good thing, isn't it?
But
Yeah,
the
I
look on
really
his
like
face.
that whole scene too, where she was checking in with him, like, how is this affecting you?
Yeah, she really wanted to make him feel better.
Yeah.
And they do a great job of like playing against emotions because the doctor's face is so somber, and then he breaks a smile, and it's like, yeah, that's gonna be great, her to come back. And I think that's what really works about getting the subwave network of people together, is that you want your heroes to get together and you want them to all work to solve the problem. But then you have this one thing where Rose can't communicate with everybody, so it takes that happiness and kind of adds that sprinkle of sadness, and I think that's what makes that scene even better.
And this is where I get nitpicky. They've given up hope too much when someone's trying to communicate with us. Oh, who cares? Everybody says that. Oh, that poor person is crying out for help. Oh, we're not going to listen. This one doesn't seem true to me.
Especially when they're waiting for the doctor to communicate with them.
Right.
Like anything would be like, is that the doctor? Not like, oh, who cares? Whoever
And
that
if somebody
is.
can
Yeah.
devise some way to communicate with you through everything that's going on, listen to it.
Yeah.
That one did not come across true to me at all.
Well, and you might have already said this, but Jack's sitting off in a corner on the
Yeah.
floor.
Like moping.
Yeah, he's moping on the corner, and it's like, dude, if anybody's going to survive this, it's probably going to be you. So, I can't help it, but none of that works for me. It's too, we're not even going to fight. Well, if you're not even going to fight, then get out of the episode.
Well, what's funny is that those other characters are not consistent with who they've been, but Harriet Jones is consistent with who she's been from the beginning.
Yes, she rallies them.
It's weird, right?
Yes.
Because why do you do that to one but not the others? It was her scene, pretty much.
Yes, the hopelessness of everybody from the beginning of the episode to now gets paid off with the return of Harriet Jones.
Yeah.
To say, all right, the doctor's not around. You need somebody else to kick you. I'm kicking you right now.
Yeah.
So in order to give Harriet Jones her proper character moment, they had to suck all the character out of everyone else.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was funny, like you were mentioning just a little bit ago, how the one person who in the whole episode who says we're already dead is the man who can't die.
Yeah.
Right.
He should be, we're already dead.
Except me.
Well, maybe you guys will be, but I'll,
Yes, but
It's a royal
I'll be
we.
an idiot.
but how much fun do you think Jack's gonna have living forever with
nobody.
only the Daleks as companions?
Right. Well, he'll develop a metal fetish.
He already has that.
I wanted to point out that the subwave network alert has 4 beats like the Masters signal from the Archangel network. So I'm thinking maybe is it piggybacking off of that? Like frame that's already been set?
Oh, that's good. I like that.
It's just my own theory.
Yeah.
No, because the Archangel Network didn't have that. did it?
Or the framework could have been set and it just never got activated. These are thoughts.
One last thing that I'll say about Rose during this scene, at the end of it, when everyone else is getting together, she kind of prays to be found, and it's a prayer almost to the doctor, like "Find me, doctor," and like.
Oh, when she put the phone up into the air.
Yeah, like I know it comes. I think in the
I think it's
summary,
before that.
But it's when I think it might be with the phone, but the emotion in that, like that was a good point for Rose, and it was also a good payoff to her not being heard. Like she is in that low point where her reverence for the doctor's abilities, it was almost religious how she asks out loud to be found.
And she's looking towards the sky.
Yes. I mean, it was a good point for, again, like the acting can be all over the place in this one because they are going for that very, very like deep emotional core. But this one here, Billy Piper really worked for that in that moment for me.
I agree.
Martha shows him that she has the Osterhagen key, a last resort weapon that Harriet says must never be used. Martha says she tried to call the doctor, but it didn't work. They decide that with the power from the rift in Cardiff, the psychic subwave network, and Mr. Smith, Sarah Jane's computer, they can connect all the phones on Earth to all dial the doctor's number. When they do, the signal reaches the doctor, but it exposes the subwave network to the Daleks. Harriet transfers control to Torchwood as the Daleks arrive at her home and exterminate her. The doctor follows the signal to a moment in time that is 1 second out of phase with the rest of the universe. The subwave connects the doctor with the others, who quickly make introductions and bring him up to date. Well, all except Rose. Dalek Khan senses the doctor's arrival, and Davros connects to the subwave, welcoming him to the new Dalek Empire.
Anybody notice that the subway, once it's activated and then it shows that effect shot, among the sound mixing is that old stock library sound effect from Hanna-Barbera?
Of what?
It's like a laser going off. It's like a pulse laser. I don't know. I heard it.
I'd have to hear it again.
Of course you did, Eugene.
What's the space logic or sci-fi logic about this? Where they are being 1 second out of time. I really like the idea.
Yeah, it's they're just one brief second out of phase with the rest of the universe, so they're not synced up.
Right. That's what they were hiding.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It was-
Yeah, no, it's cool. It's one of those where you're almost in plain sight, like you're in the middle of it, but just barely hidden.
It's like time's peripheral vision.
Yeah.
Ooh, I like that.
Another little nitpicky thing was all the phones on the planet are dialing the doctor, but Wilf, Sylvia, and Rose are dialing their own phones. It's like, no, it's already dialing it.
Oh.
See, and I don't see it as a nitpick. I see it as, yeah, they know, but they're desperate. I mean, it's like, I want to do something, so I'm going to call, even
It's
though...
like when you push the button across the street, even though you pushed it already, or the
Or an
elevator.
elevator.
Yeah.
And this wasn't like the Archangel where everyone was thinking together. This was the subway was controlling.
It was-
so not
yeah.
everyone was seeing that.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Yeah, it was
that
just
is a
every single
flashback
phone was
feeling
calling.
of another, point of going. This brings you back to the subway where everybody's thinking the same thing. So it is, to me, that's a little tidbit, a little nice little
like
homage
payoff,
to something
yeah.
else, one of the other episodes.
Another payoff to that would be even to Christopher Eccleston, where he upgrades Rose's phone, and then now, like Martha has her phone upgraded, and Donna, it's all so that they have a number to call the doctor, all the way set up in season 1.
And that number that like flashes briefly on the screen, is that like our equivalent of the 555? Or is that a real number?
In the commentary, they said it was real. It was one of the production assistant's phone numbers.
Oh, poor PA.
This is a wonderful way to pay off all of the, yes, we know who you are. And
Yeah.
and her final words are, oh, you know nothing of any human.
Right.
Although, the other thing, too, is we never see a Harriet Jones body, so I'm thinking, where it's like, she got away.
Do the Daleks leave a body when they
Yeah.
laser?
But we
They go,
never see her get
and
lasered.
they drop.
And
We
ske-
didn't even
We
see her
don't
get...
see her get
skeleton.
lasered?
No.
We hear it.
Oh.
In the commentary, the producer, Phil Collinson, says she had a trapdoor. And he sticks to that answer.
Ugh, okay. Because of my affection I have for the character of Harriet Jones, as a viewer, I also had the moment like, wait a minute, how do I feel about her? But I love that actress does such a good job with this role that I'm like, I don't care. I'm still a fan. But like her sacrifice, the way that Harriet Jones sacrifices herself and the way that she dies, made the threat real to me. Now I'm scared for all the other characters that you could kill in this episode.
And that
It
ties
needed
in-
to happen.
That also ties into what you were saying earlier, how deaths of characters that we've known for one episode, they're sad, but they're not. We've almost come to expect them in a way. Which,
The red shirts.
yeah.
Oh my God.
Set phasers to stun.
That glass ceiling has been cracked.
I almost wish this show had. I mean, obviously, I don't want it to be the death show because it's a family show, but like, it would be more impactful if we lost more main characters once in a while. Well, I guess those are famous last words.
I think they started to do that, and then they got so popular, they found a way to bring, so and so and so and so back.
Yeah, and that annoyed the crap out of me, but that's another story for another day.
We'll do a whole episode based on who should have stayed dead.
I just think if you're gonna kill someone, don't bring them back. It ruins the whole point of.
Well,
Anyway.
it lessens their death and
Yeah.
what their death meant. It's a good death for this character because she's saving so many.
And it would be a shame if she was alive. It would take away from her legacy.
But there is also a part of me that's like, nah, she's better than the Daleks.
And then, I mean, we'll get to this in the series, but I mean, there's something coming in this series that I won't even go there right now. It's just I want her to be dead. Maybe they should kill more people and stick to it once in a while. People
Very Harriet Jones of you.
people we have relationships. Wow. People we have relationships with.
I really do like, though, that when the Doctor sees the screen and he goes, look, everybody's there, everyone but Rose. I like that they gave him that moment because Rose is really important.
I like that she saw him say it.
Yes.
Too. She wasn't
Yes.
on the outside of it.
Yes. So it is.
I guess that was my point earlier, was that it's not, she's totally unaware that people do care.
And honestly, even though Rose comes off as annoying when she says that or whiny or whatever, I totally get where she's coming from. Like, I feel like I would have felt the exact same way. Like, but it was me before it was any of these stupid people. Like, like I feel like it's just, even if you want to be annoyed with her, like, it's such human nature. And it's such Rose nature, too.
Oh, yeah, totally.
But I was right there with her. Like, I think I said it when she said it the first time I watched the episode. Like, but what about Rose? So I identified with her whininess, and I was okay with it. Not to mention she loves him, so it's kind of like another level of jealousy.
So the subwave thing works, and the Doctor arrives, and Davros, this creepy blind guy in a wheelchair, welcomes him. But as I'm not a viewer of the classic Who, so I've never seen this guy before. But it seems like Sarah Jane knows him, but no one else does.
But we have seen him before because we covered him in The Remembrance of the Daleks with Ace and the Seventh Doctor.
Oh, I
Davros was
watched
the leader of the Daleks at that point because they had the Imperial Daleks and then the Renegade Daleks.
But how does Sarah Jane know him?
In Genesis of the Daleks with Tom Baker, she met Davros then. And so that's why I said when she reacts to seeing the Daleks again and Davros, it carries more weight to me because I've seen the classic episodes with her, so she would be terrified of him.
And it's really cool. I think it is in the commentary where they go, we didn't have to put that in. Sarah Jane recognizing the voice. Or later on, Davros recognizing Sarah Jane. There's really no reason for us to leave that in.
And they did some different things with Davros this time. They changed his headpiece. It doesn't have the microphone. And they gave him a metal hand.
Oh,
He didn't have the metal hand before?
That's why in the toy,
Oh,
no metal hand.
no metal hand. Oh, okay.
And I thought the makeup was great.
Yes. And the actor's really good, too. Boy, is
He
he a
is
mustache.
really good. Like when he starts freaking, laughing and freaking out, like in the second episode.
I mean, even when he's like screaming and his mouth is open, it's like, wow, they did work on the
Yeah.
roof of his mouth.
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely over the top. Another example of non-subtle acting, but boy, it works. It's
Davros?
Yeah,
it just
he
so
sells it.
works.
I mean,
Yeah, he
there's
can
no self-consciousness there at all. He's just totally.
Yeah.
I am pure evil.
Yeah.
That's my purpose, and I like it. And you know, we never get an episode where we find out that Davros has mommy issues.
The Doctor is shocked to see Davros alive. He watched during the Time War as Davros' ship was destroyed. Dalek Khan explains that he temporarily shifted into the Time War and saved Davros. But by entering a time-locked event, Khan lost his mind and started to spout prophecies. Davros has been busy using cells from his body to create a new, pure Dalek race. The Doctor cuts transmission and travels to Earth. The Daleks trace the transmission to Torchwood and begin to attack the hub. Jack gets the code from Martha to activate his wrist vortex manipulator and beams out to find the Doctor, leaving Yanto and Gwen to protect Torchwood. They prepare to fire as a Dalek breaks through the doorway. Sarah Jane leaves Luke to find the Doctor, but is stopped by a pair of Daleks ready to exterminate her.
Ew. His body looks terrible. I mean, it wasn't just cells. It was like,
Parts of him.
Yeah, that.
How many Daleks
I
did he
like
make?
the idea of it. It's very theatrical, but at the same time, cells multiply, cells regenerate. Like that's the whole thing about cellular division. That's why we're organisms.
See, I don't know how much parts of the body, not just cells, but I mean, it's like.
Yeah, he took bits and pieces of himself.
Yeah, I don't know. I felt like they could have sci-fi'd that a little bit.
What, you wanted him to
Better.
open up his shirt and be jacked?
No. I'm just saying that the words they chose to explain it, it bothered me.
But it's more like amputation parts of his body, so I don't think they would come back.
I just thought it was weak.
But it was an opportunity to have the effect of
I know.
the
It was very theatrical.
ribcage and,
Phantom of the Opera.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't remember him bursting into song.
No.
No, that was Dalek Khan's job.
I love... I love the Torchwood scenes. because if you've watched Torchwood, you really feel for this. So again, he's getting his vortex manipulator, which he never used in Torchwood, and it's like, well, where'd it go? And now we find out, the doctor was doing something to it, so it didn't work. And now with Martha, he figures out how to work it. And I love Jack turning to them and saying, I'm going to go find the doctor. And they just kind of look at him, and he's like, I'm coming back. And they still just kind of look at him because he's left them before without any explanation. And so I do think both Yanto and Gwen are kind of like, we understand you're leaving. This is it. We're not going to see you again. And of course, he's going to be like, no, really, I'm going to come back. When Gwen and Yanto are getting ready to fight in the hub, Gwen says real quick, I'm going to go out like Tosh and Owen fighting.
And this would happen in season 2?
Yeah, because Tosh and Owen passed away. Boy, was that sad. Their characters were done on the show. And so it was just Jack, Yanto, and
Gwen.
Again, world building. So this is a organic, natural thing that Gwen would say.
And when Jack talks about I'll be back, that then puts in the memory in our head of when Jack had the doctor's hand on his backpack and ran out and grabbed onto the end of the TARDIS, on the outside of the TARDIS during Martha's season, when they then went to the end of the universe. So that's when he left them before.
Without even saying goodbye. Because
So
in the beginning, that actually carried over into the second season where his Torchwood team were very, very angry with him. And it took a long time, and some of them never even recovered to, you just abandoned us. And you could do it again because of this doctor guy.
I like the doctor's response to Davros's big, long speech. Just being like, well, what I have to say to that is, bye.
And Sarah Jane's reaction is really good. It's the same. And it's like, that voice, I know that voice. For those of us who have seen the classics, that's such a great little bit.
Some also different things are that the Daleks with Davros they don't have the plunger. They have another appendage, which is more of like the classic. It's it's more of a claw if you look at it.
No, I didn't notice.
Rose transmats to where the TARDIS has landed. She and the Doctor run towards each other as the Dalek appears, shooting the Doctor. Then suddenly Jack appears, and he destroys the Dalek. They carry the Doctor to the TARDIS, where the Doctor begins to regenerate.
I like that it's the same gun that Jack had at the end of season 1 on the Satellite 5. He kept it, so he knew it could destroy a Dalek, and it could do it again.
Oh, cool.
So it's the same gun.
All right.
I think this was a great payoff when they see each other and start running to each other. Like, I forgot exactly what happens. I was like, oh, wait, doesn't he get shot here? I can't quite remember, but it was taking so long. I'm like, oh, no, that's taking so long. Something's going to happen.
I was really happy and they also brought back Rose's theme,
Yes.
the
Yeah.
music, which was great, and I love. Yay! And it was very romantic, and keep running, but it's like, how far away did she come in? Because they kept running and then running and running.
I know. I really
Like,
don't
a
think
little
they
bit
were
less.
actually that far apart, but it's fine.
Right.
There's a lot
And I
of
love
running.
Donna, too. Why don't you ask Rose herself?
Yes.
That's the way, because Rose sees her first and is like, this is going to make him so happy.
I just I didn't remember that Rose is coming.
Yeah.
So like when you see, you can see it on Donna's face, like, oh, Rose is here. Why
Yeah.
don't you just ask herself?
I've always thought, though, why isn't the doctor upset with her for having a large gun?
I thought that too, just when I watched it the other day.
Well, speaking of that, she's just walking around London with a big gun while everybody else is
Yeah.
doing like looting or whatever. I'm like, really?
But the doctor had no time to be upset with that. He sees her, not, he takes in the gun, and he'll talk about that later, but it's like, Rose. He's finally going to be able to be with Rose.
I know, but
And
from
they
a
snatched that away from us.
creator perspective, you
Yeah.
would think they wouldn't even give Rose a large gun because people like us would be asking that question.
But that's the point of the episode, next episode. And also, you are fighting Daleks. You do need to destroy Daleks. And there's precedent, because Christopher Eccleston pulled out a gun to shoot a Dalek.
And another parallel with that is David Tennant's first episode as the 10th Doctor is the Christmas invasion, and he spends most of the episode separated from Rose. And in this episode, Rose is separated from most of the action, most of the episode. So I like that they paralleled that.
And going back to the Christmas invasion, he loses his right hand. That's the hand that's in the jar. And when he's starting to regenerate, it's his right hand that starts glowing first.
Well, how about the big to be continued at the end? That's the first.
Great. I love how it shook a little.
Yeah. Is that the first time we saw something like that big?
Russell
big.
Davis hated how the BBC promos gave everything away. And so he would always fight it. He was always fight it. And in this one, he said, "You're not showing a thing." And so that's why you just get the "to be continued." And it's fantastic.
All right, so here's some of the cast that we have. Some of these we've already mentioned. Billy Piper as Rose Tyler, Freema Agyeman as Martha Jones, John Barrowman as Captain Jack Harkness, Elizabeth Sladen as Sarah Jane Smith, Penelope Wilton as Harriet Jones, Gareth David Lloyd as Yanto Jones, Eve Miles as Gwen Cooper, Tommy Knight as Luke Smith, Bernard Cribbins as Wilfred Mott, Jacqueline King as Sylvia Noble, Adoja Andoa as Francine Jones, Julian Bleach plays Davros, Michael Brandon is General Sanchez, Andrea Harris is Suzanne, Lachelle Carl is Trinity Wells, and then we mentioned Richard Dawkins as himself, Paul O'Grady as himself, and then we get Kelly Hunter as the Shadow Architect, and Amy Beth Hayes as the albino servant from Misfits. She's in that one episode where she turns younger. Nicholas Briggs as the Dalek voice, Alexander Armstrong as the voice of Mr. Smith, and then we get Paul Casey, who does most of the costume acting. So in this one, he was the Jadoon captain, but other than that, we've seen him as the Auton, the Cheem Tree, a Sladine, the Android, a Clockwork Man, a Cyber Leader, an Ood, Hoix, the Cybermen, a Robot Santa, a Pigman, the host from Voyage of the Dam, Ood Sigma, and Half Peck. So he's like the Doug Jones of Doctor Who.
And this
does
is all
well.
just from the teaser scene. So what happens after the main credits?
Well, after that, Paul Casey also has been in Star Wars stuff. He was in The Force Awakens, and in Rogue One, he was Admiral Raddus. So he usually plays the X-Wing pilots, because he was also in The Last Jedi.
All right. That guy.
So the Stolen Earth, who is this episode good for? Or more specifically, this episode is good for who?
This is made for the fans. So I think the fan would get the most out of it. To try and give somebody new, it's way too much information.
I haven't given this question much thought, so I'm just gonna agree with Frank. Sounds good. The fans will enjoy this the most.
I do think that this does have a fan would enjoy it the most. But it does have some like really good action, and you do get like all of these other characters that might intrigue a new viewer. For a fan, if you haven't, new viewers, stay away.
I'm gonna go with fan 2. I think this might be the first time I've ever voted that way. But my token argument is that it can be fun to watch an episode where you don't know what's going on, if it whets your appetite. But I don't think it works in this case. And I think it would just be so much overload that you would just be like, ugh, okay, I'm out. So yeah, I'm going with fan for this one.
Yeah, I too agree with a fan, but I do think if someone's very open to watching something where they really don't know what's going on and just for what goes on in the episode, anyone would enjoy it. There's enough good storytelling where you won't be so lost. What you will lose is half the context. And like half of this story works fine because of the things that physically happen in this two-parter. But 50% of it is what everything means that you wouldn't know. So I say fan. It's kind of the Infinity War of Doctor Who.
I am also going to say fan, just because there's no way I would show this to a new viewer. I do think that casual viewers could conceivably really, really have a lot of fun with it. So nothing against that. If I had my choice, though, it would be for somebody who is a fan of Doctor Who and must be a diehard. No, you can be a fan of this, and I think you would really enjoy it. And I also kind of think that there are some diehards out there who don't like this episode.
Oh.
Because it is too fanboy. It is too much. And they just can't handle that. It just doesn't seem to be very realistic to them. And these people have no idea what fun is.
I thought I could put this in a new category because it calls back a lot to classic Who. So you could introduce this to a classic Who viewer who hasn't watched the new show and go, this is kind of a continuation of the show I watched, like with introducing Davros and Sarah Jane. They're familiar with those characters in K9, that could be enough to watch the new version. But ultimately, this is definitely meant for a fan, and it's kind of paying off and rewarding you for keeping up with the show. And the other thing that I really like about this particular episode is that there's a lot of music cues that they use. And the one I wanted to point out the most is The Rueful Fate of Donna Noble, which we heard in Turn Left, but I think is better used in this episode. And it's that Western guitar whistling track, and I think it amps up the action because it has like a dual feeling to it and a spaghetti Western feel to it. So I think that helps with the climax and the Magnificent Seven gathering all the teams together. So I really like that.
And a little foreshadowing.
And this two-parter is a 4-year
Culmination.
Yeah.
Yeah.
not just a season ending, but it's his whole reign of the 10th Doctor and Davies.
Yeah, and plus it's for a fan because you have to be a fan to watch the other two shows, Torchwood and Sarah Jane Adventures, and they all come together in these last 2 episodes of season 4.
When I originally saw this episode, I hadn't watched any of the other spin-offs.
Yeah, I
I
don't
still
think you need to
haven't.
watch Sarah Jane or Torchwood, but
It helps.
if you do, you get a lot more of it. It's just more impactful.
So it's unanimous.
It's for a fan.
Say we. So say we all.
And a Battlestar Galactica reference.
Yeah.
Who is this woman?
I know.
If she says, "May the Force be with you."
That wraps up The Stolen Earth. Thanks for listening, and we will see you next time when the future becomes the present.
You just listened to an episode of Who Knew Podcast.
Our wonderful theme music is by Michael Grady.
Find him on Facebook at The Universe Explodes.
All our episodes are engineered by me, Auburn.
Find him at auburnbinkley.com.
You can find this show in several places.
Follow us on Twitter at Who Knew Podcast.
Subscribe, review, and listen to us on iTunes and Stitcher.
Or our YouTube channel, youtube.com/WhoKnewPodcast.
Visit our Facebook page.
Please leave comments, reviews, and click like to help support Who Knew Podcast.
Also, listen to us on your Amazon Echo by enabling a podcast skill.
All of our episodes are on whoknewpodcast.com.
This podcast is inspired by Doctor Who.
The longest running sci-fi show in history.
And especially the revival spearheaded by Russell T. Davis.
Thanks to Russell.
Sydney Newman.
Verity Lambert.
Ron Grainer.
And all those involved in the adventures of our favorite Time Lord.
Your work continues to inspire and entertain.
Where did it?
Wait, someone has to go. We gotta go there. Auburn, you go higher. There. Frank, you go lower.
Left, this left?
Can't get lower! No one hit the table because that's a wonky picture.
I don't know what happened. It just.
It's okay.
That's all right. It's probably we keep getting a signal thing saying poor connection, so it could be something to do with that.
Sorry.
I don't know.
We're
if
in the
it could be
valley.
her end, my end, whatever.
Sorry, I moved to the East Coast, guys.
I do like your backsplash though.
Oh, isn't it beautiful?
It is.
Thank you.
Heather, you got a point?
Do I have a point?
Yeah, it looked like you had a point.
No.
Oh.
Well, make
do
one
you want to
anyway.
make one? Yeah.
Go on without me. I'm gonna pee.
Okay.
Mute.
Don't edit that out. No, I think you should keep it in. Keep it in.
Yeah, moving on. Stop playing with the toys.